All right, everybody, sing along. You have to be a good neighbor. You have to be a good neighbor.
Otherwise, I'm going to be
Up your butt every day. Good times.
Whoa, that was impressive.
Lord bless him.
For 10 trivia points, young Dennis, who was the alderman that was saying those remarks?
Well, I know it's the Cinnamon Roll Speakeasy feller. I can't think of his name offhand, though.
Tom Tunney.
Oh, yeah.
You have to be a good neighbor.
Thanks, Tom. All right.
And hi, by the way, what ward is he the alderman of?
Oh, my God. I am not with it today. 45th?
Close enough.
Yeah, damn.
Now I'll reverse it. What a dork, everybody. Can you imagine, folks, if we just reverse roles for one game? I was the producer who made the little, I think the Andy Richter guy made the funny little wisecrack, and he was Conan O'Brien. Could you just imagine that?
Yeah, the show would be around for 1 week.
First, no, it would not air once because I wouldn't know how to. D, what button do I push?
Oh, that's a great point. All right, your Ben Joravsky show. Oh, hey, what's going on, Jay Marie? You're first. Yes, you are first, Jay Marie. What is happening? Your Ben Joravsky show. Oh, what a week it was. Lori's gonna Lori is brought to you by the Chicago Federation of Labor, SEIU Healthcare, Illinois, Indiana, our sponsors. The Chicago Teachers Union, brand new sponsors. We'll have some copy to read for you guys coming later on in the month as well. And today's show is brought to you by the Chicago Reader, chicagoreader.com for all things there is to know the city of Chicago. Where to go, what to do, what to eat, what to drink, what kind of pot to smoke, and so much more, including columns from our very own Ben Joravsky and our colleague Maya Dukmasova. It's Chicago Reader, chicagoreader.com. Subscribe, and if you want to help out this program, you can. You can become a binhead. That's true. Find out more information, chicagoreader.com/Joravsky, Jora, V as in victory, SKY. It is Friday, July 2nd. Happy July, Ben.
Happy July.
And live from my apartment and his attic, this is the Ben Joravsky Show's Oh, What a Week It Was. And now your host, Joravsky's gonna Joravsky. Chicago Reader columnist Ben Joravsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. A lot of Joravskys. That's a tough name, man. We're calling this, better change your name to Jay. That's a lot easier to say. And here's why. All right, yes, it is. Oh, what a week it was. And Dennis has a very clever title for the show. We have a whole bunch of fun stuff. We missed a week. We didn't do the show last week because Dr. D was taking a much-deserved, much-needed vacation. A couple days off he had.
I missed all of you.
Nick.
I missed all of you. I missed everyone.
Yes. But you know what? He needed it. He came back looking tanned and rested and ready to go. And I just shout out to DJ Nate for sitting in for him. Before we go to Oh, What a Week, I just have to say one thing. We, Monroe and Jim Coogan were on the show Wednesday, and we were talking about the Supreme Court justices, and is it possible that the Supreme Court justices that Donnie Trump appointed were actually going to disappoint their MAGA supporters and be a little more liberal? Well, the answer was broadcast yesterday with a 6-3 ruling in an Arizona case that could make it harder to challenge new voting limits laws. To quote Monroe, who called me up last night to tell me this, they are who we thought they were. Yes, they're Republicans, ladies and gentlemen, of the right-wing persuasion. And they're going to use the power they have to make it easier for Republicans to win re-election by, among other things, this cockamamie law in Arizona, man. Like, if you accidentally go and vote at the wrong precinct, maybe they changed the precinct that you were in and you didn't get the notification, whatever, they could throw your vote out. How is that fair? It's just like, they're just trying to make it harder, more difficult for people and to vote, and their notion is that the people that will get caught up in the rules and the technicalities more often than not will be Democrats. So you throw out 100 votes and 80 of them are Democrats. and 20 Republicans. It's an advantage to the Republicans. Even if it's 60-40, it's an advantage to the Republicans. Nobody said that Republicans were dumb, just that they were up to no good. We got a great show today, everybody. It's Oh, What a Week It Was. Without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to the man, the myth, the legend, the pride and joy of Alton, Illinois, who's going to lead us through the news of the week, the man they call
Dennis.
I got 4. The man they call Dennis.
Yeah! There we go. Hey, John, welcome to the live stream chat. I don't think I've ever seen you in here before, dude. So what's going on, my man?
The man they call Dennis.
Fingers crossed, come on.
The man they call him Dennis.
Hey, everyone, how's it going? Yes, my name's Dennis. Without further ado, let's find out what happened in Chicago and or Illinois this week. We begin in Illinois, and take a bow, Illinois, because for the first time in 20 years, the state of Illinois' credit rating has been upgraded. Governor Pritzker, please tell us more. Is this like a mistake?
Make no mistake, despite all the challenges of the last year, after 8 credit downgrades our state suffered under my predecessor, I say with full certainty Illinois' fiscal condition is heading in the right direction for the first time in the 21st century.
What does this news prove?
And while our journey to solve all of Illinois' fiscal challenges continues, today's news proves that when it comes to positive change in Illinois, we are well on our way.
Oh, interesting.
Wait, are you done? I love it when you do that thing. Folks, I always say this, and it's ancient history, but there was a song. There was a guy, like a comedian, that would do that. And he would ask a question, and then he would answer the question with a song. So, like, they would play a song. Anyway, Dennis reminds me of that guy, and very clever, very old. It's an old radio trick, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we're well on our way. But seriously, guys, it's still pretty bad. Even after that upgrade, Illinois remains the lowest rated state on Moody's scale, 2 notches below the next lowest state. Ben Joravsky, any guess as to which state has the second worst credit rating in America next to Illinois?
Oh, my God. This is just a guess, so I'm going to go with Mississippi.
Mississippi. Ben Joravsky, is that your final answer? You feeling good about Mississippi? Final answer?
Yes.
Okay, well, you're wrong. New Jersey was the answer.
Oh, New Jersey. But you know how it always is, like when you're rating states, and it's usually Mississippi is the worst. And so they go, we're not as bad as Mississippi, but we're pretty bad. So I didn't know New Jersey.
Well, shout out to all of our listeners in Mississippi. We love all of you. And hey, congratulations on that NCAA baseball World Series win. Am I right, Ben?
Yes. I was unaware that Mississippi won. I just know that North Carolina got kicked out.
Yeah, I have cable now, so I watch Sports Center. So that's
Scott Van Pelt. I'm Scott Van Pelt. Sorry, did not.
So what do you think about this? Go ahead.
Before we go on.
Say it.
I got for the NBA playoffs is cable. And I'm just going to say it right now. Barkley, Shaq, and Kenny Smith and Ernie are so much better than ESPN. I'm just going to go on it. I'm going to say it, D. I'm going to say it. Okay? They are awesome. I love them. Way better than ESPN. Back to the news.
They are, in fact, not terrible. Come on, Ernie. That's terrible.
Ernie. Our Charles Barkley imitation. Chuck.
All of my sports caster impressions start with "Come on." There's Shannon Sharp. Come on, Skip. There's that one. And then there's what's that guy's name? The guy on ESPN.
Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith. Come on, Max Kellerman. Max Kellerman.
Now he's yelling.
Come on, Ernie.
Yeah,
good times,
Ernie, man. Anyway. I digress. Go ahead, Dave.
All right. So anything else you'd like to say here before we move on? Illinois has been pretty notorious as the broke-ass state. Moving on up.
Yeah, moving on up to the east side. I finally got a piece of the pie. All right, let me just say this. First of all, congratulations, Governor Pritzker. if it was a Republican who was in charge when the rating was raised, they would be pounding themselves on the back. And you're not going to hear anything nice from the Republicans. I'm just going to say this. The bar is pretty low. Was considered a triumph. And yet, when we consider that the previous governor, a Republican, name around her, that Republicans in the state of Illinois pretend has not existed, this guy wouldn't even have a budget. This guy wouldn't have a budget because he was trying to use the lack of a budget as a means of extortion to force Democrats into taking away collective bargaining rights. Let's not forget that, people. Okay, let's not forget that. So I think sanity has returned to the state of Illinois, and everybody knows I'm a big fan of J.B. Pritzker on many fronts. And one of them is that he's just so much better than Bruce Rauner on so many ways. In so many ways.
Hey.
Although part of me misses Bruce Rauner's.
Oh, dude, you and me both, pal. You and me both.
He would go on those downstate talk shows. We had a field day, and Dr. D would, Dennis, would gather up the clips, and we would have, and then Dennis would analyze his accent and how phony it was, and how it really wasn't downstate. Good times, D. Good times, man.
Great times. Yay for sanity. Yay for higher credit ratings. And
yay for our teachers. Yay for our teachers.
Yay for our teachers.
Oh, God. You know who loved that? Let's give a shout out. Maya Dukmasova. Oh, yeah. She loved yay for our teachers. And Maya and I, by the way, we the hideout. How about this for a transition?
Damn, that was good.
Come on, man.
That came out of nowhere. You're slick, buddy. Oh.
Come on. It's been 5 years I've been doing this. No, 4 years I've been doing this.
That's coming up this Tuesday, huh?
Yes, July 6th. Rob Markwick will be there, and Delia Ramirez will be there, and Rod Martin will be there, and I can't wait. And there's going to be a rock concert afterwards.
Ben, bring your harmonica. The day may finally come. You get to jam out with Martwick. I know you talk about that often.
Martwick, I'm going to be jamming with the rock, whatever the rock group is. I'm singing lead for them. Under my thumb, yeah.
Are you talking about the rock band later after the show?
Yeah.
No, they want nothing to do with you, political nerds.
I know. They're like, could you leave? Rock band.
All right, so that's good news, I guess. We're getting a little more unbroke, the state of Illinois. Now let's talk about legal reefer. And mainly, let's talk about the Illinois recreational cannabis license lottery process. Boy, does this thing stink. So to make sure we're all on the same page, yes, recreational cannabis, marijuana, hippie lettuce, left-handed cigarettes, whatever you want to call it, it's legal in Illinois. And in an effort to at least look like they're doing the right thing, the state set up a lottery process and awarded potential cannabis shop owners with a license to run said shop. But turns out the lottery was rigged. Welcome to Illinois. But hey, how about that credit rating, huh? You can pay for and turn in as many applications as you can afford with this lottery process. And hey, what do you know? Very wealthy, and what a coincidence, white people got all the licenses. Funny how that works. Once people caught on to this, a bill was then passed by the General Assembly in May that would correct dispensaries in the lottery process. Now we are learning that while the governor has not been shy with signing legislation lately, this cannabis license bill is still sitting on the governor's desk waiting for him to sign it. The manufacturing end of the cannabis industry is on hold too. Licenses for craft grow, infusion, and transportation, which were supposed to have been distributed July 1st last year, have yet to be handed out. Now, Ben, get ready because I am going to be asking you in moments if this is BS or no BS. The governor, and by the governor I mean a spokesperson, weighed in on this and said, quote, "It's a lengthy process because we are giving applicants multiple times to submit corrections. So we have as many social equity applicants as possible when we have a lottery. It's a long process, but at the end of the day, we want as many people as possible to be able to take part." Ben Joravsky, BS or no BS?
BS.
Oh.
Should have been done months ago. We all know it. This should have been a number one priority. Number one priority should not have been giving hipsters who already have access to reefer, access to legal reefer. The number one priority should make sure that black people cut in on the pie because they suffered the brunt of the punishment from the war on drugs. And it's still happening, D. I'm going to get going on Sha'Carri Richardson in a little while. But before I go into that, which is just like burning in my brain, I suppose I should say better late than never. And we've been hammering this theme for so long, the inability of the state of Illinois to cut a little piece of the pie to Black people, Black entrepreneurs. And, there should be some kind of overall reparations, in my humble opinion, for the war on drugs. But I know that's not going to, it's so hard just to even do like make sure that Black entrepreneurs get some of the licenses. So better late than never, I say, D. They stumbled. They know they stumbled. So now they're trying to spin it as best they can. But let me just talk about Sha'Carri Richardson. D, have you been following this story at all? Do you know who she is?
Yeah, I've been seeing it on social media.
I'm pretty obsessed with her. I'm a track and field fan. She's a great sprinter, perhaps the fastest woman in the world right now, I think. And she won, she qualified to represent the United States in the Olympics in the 100-meter dash. And folks, if you didn't watch it, you should watch it. It's an unbelievable race. She's so fast. She's such a beautiful runner, graceful runner. And after the race, she was the runner who immediately ran up into the stands, great moment, and hugged her grandmother. I don't know if you saw that, D. She hugged her grandmother after she won this race, after she set the world record, because her grandmother raised her. Her mom died, biological mom died. Her grandmother had a big part in raising her. And so she was just overwhelmed with emotion, and she hugged her grandmother. And this is an old guy, like, oh, I admit I tear up every time I see it. Yesterday, it was announced that she had flunked a drug test, and so she'll be suspended from running for a month. And that means she will not be able to participate, probably, unless there's some kind of appeal, in the 100-meter dash, the 100-meter race at the Olympics. And the test that she flunked was for cannabis. Are you kidding me? I mean, when are we going to end this insane war on drugs with cannabis? And I looked into this, D, and I'm like, okay, so why is cannabis banned? And it's a ban, they allege, because two reasons. One, it gives runners an unfair competitive advantage if they smoke it. And two, it sends a bad message to children of the world. Let's deal with the first one first. D, now I know you've never smoked marijuana or taken it because it's against the law.
Yeah.
And you would never break the law.
True.
But you would never even be in a room with someone breaking the law, because, like, let's say your friend Billy Bob took a joint out and smoked it, and you would say, Billy Bob, smoking marijuana is illegal, and I cannot in good conscience be in the same room as you.
My buddy Billy Bob is such a pothead.
Yeah. And then, like, the cookie man with the cookies, if he gave you a cookie and you would say, is there cannabis in this cookie? I will not eat it. But, okay, so that is all true, but you have seen people under the influence of marijuana. Do you think, with your experience of marijuana and cannabis,
Which is none, but go ahead.
It would make someone run faster? You know what I mean? Like, what competitive advantage would be gained from smoking a joint and then running a race?
I would argue maybe running longer amount of time, because you're just all in your head just thinking about stuff, like, oh man, not even thinking about running. That's maybe the only case. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Like, you're distracted a little bit, not thinking so much about all the running because you're ripped out of your mind. Just, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a stretch. That's the stretch sound. You know. Somehow or other, they've decided that it gives a runner a competitive advantage, which I don't see. That's number one. Number two, it sends a bad message. Like, everyone does it. It's legal. They're using marijuana as an incentive in the state of Washington to get people to take the freaking shot so you get immunized against COVID. That ship has sailed, war on druggers, you know? So absolutely absurd. And Sha'Carri Richardson, I really hope they get some lawyers in the room and figure out a way to get around this, because, first of all, it just be denying us all an opportunity to watch a truly great runner. And if I were the other competitors, the other runners, I would be standing up for her, because there's absolutely no advantage she gets over them by smoking a joint or taking marijuana. She did it, she said, to cope with the stress and the strain of her mom's death. be that as it may, for whatever reason she did it, there's no competitive advantage. So the other runners should say, let her run. Let her run. So I just had to say that. While we are making good our budget obligations by taxing the hell out of the sale of legalized reefer, Sha'Carri Richardson's being banned from the Olympics for having smoked it. That, my friends, is hypocrisy. And you don't have to be high to see it.
Oh, you really don't. All right, Ben, real quick. Who would win in a race, Sha'Carri Robinson or Jackie Joyner-Kersee?
Oh, for the pride and joy of East St. Louis, Sha'Carri Richardson. I would say Sha'Carri Richardson would win because she runs faster. But if you took, oh, well, Ben, what an insightful. My goodness, your knowledge of track and field is unbelievable. But if you could bring her back in time, imagine this, if we had a little spaceship and we put Sha'Carri Richardson in the spaceship and we'd send her back in time. And so it was 1984. I don't know. I'll tell you who would not be the fastest. Me.
No.
I am slow as they come.
I never knew you were such a track and field fan.
I don't really brag about it a lot, D, but the reality is I have a problem. It's called sports, and I watch quite a bit of it.
Well, let's keep talking about that problem of yours. I don't think we've heard your opinion on the latest comments from Scottie Pippen on Phil Jackson, former coach.
Oh, my God. How much time do we have?
Go.
All right. So Scottie Pippen gave an interview with, I think it's
Dan
GQ.
Patrick. No.
Was it Dan Patrick?
I thought it was Dan Patrick. I don't know.
Maybe it was Dan Patrick for GQ. I read it in GQ. All right. So first of all, Scottie Pippen has come out with a new bourbon, I think it is, a new whiskey. So he's doing interviews to promote the whiskey. In fact, we were hoping to try to get him on the show, but he's like, I'm not going on that show with that hippie. And so anyway, went on a riff, and he said that in that crucial moment in 1994 when the Bulls were in the playoffs against the Knicks, and it was 1.8 seconds left, and the Bulls were down by 2. And it was a pivotal game. They would have definitely lost the series if they had lost that game. Phil Jackson called a timeout, and he designed the final shot, a play for the final shot, and it would go to Tony Kukoc, not Scottie Pippen. That Scottie Pippen would throw the ball in to Tony Kukoc, and so Scottie Pippen would essentially be a decoy. And Scottie Pippen was so insulted that the final play was not drawn up for him that he refused to go in the game. Now, you got to understand, people, Michael Jeffrey Jordan had just retired from baseball, and Scottie Pippen had been Michael Jordan's number 2, and now he was the number 1, the man. And he felt that as the man, he should get the final shot. And what Phil Jackson was saying, the best player in the team is not always the best clutch shooter. And if anybody knows anything about basketball, you know that's true. Robert Horry, God, I could go on. Robert Horry was not the best player on any team he played for. He played for the Lakers with Kobe Bryant. He played for Houston with Hakeem Olajuwon. He played for San Antonio with Timmy Duncan. But Robert Horry was always the best clutch shooter. If you're going to go to a last shot, you go to Robert Horry. Ray Allen was not the best shooter in the Miami Heat. I mean, he was not the best player in the Miami. LeBron James was. But who do you want to take the last shot? Ray Allen. So I'm just saying, Scottie Pippen, you may have been the best player in the Chicago Bulls, but the best clutch shooter was Tony Kukoc. He should have gotten the last shot. And, D, after Scottie Pippen refused to go in the game, they put Pete Myers in, my beloved Pete Myers. He threw a perfect inbound pass to Tony Kukoc. Tony Kukoc drained the shot. The Bulls won the game, and that saved Scottie Pippen's career in Chicago. So years later, Scottie Pippen, in my humble opinion, should be saying, you know what? I messed up there, but my Tony bailed me out with that shot, and life goes on, and we won 3 more championships. But no, he says that it was race. That race motivated Phil Jackson to draw up a play for Tony Kukoc, because Phil Jackson at that moment, when the whole season was on the line, was saying, you know what I really want to do? I want to promote the career of Tony Kukoc. That's what I want to do. It's 1.8 seconds of this incredibly tense game, which has already been fights. Like our entire season is coming to a potential close, but I really want to promote the brand of Tony Kukoc. That's what I want to do. Guys, let's think of a way to promote Tony Kukoc's brand. Maybe he'll let us be in his commercial. Come on, Scottie Pippen. Come on, Scotty. You're better than that. D, you asked me, and so I told you.
Yeah. I know Jay Marie was wondering that as well on the live stream chat. She asked that earlier this week. All right, I think that's enough statewide news. Governor Pritzker, anything you'd like to add before we move on?
Face coverings.
Okay, that's... Say that a lot. All right, let's get to the main course. Oh, what a week it was for our Chicago mayor, Lori Lightfoot.
And over the course of this very tough year, we have been on the ropes, and the referee has started the 10 count a couple of times. But like Barney Ross, the 1930s fighter who grew up in the Maxwell Street neighborhood, we have gotten back up, legs stronger, steely focus, and resolve to fight on.
All right.
I forgot the Barney Ross reference. I forgot that. That was from her speech back in, 2019? Good God, 2 years have passed. 2 years. Yes, Barney Ross.
That is crazy that it's about 2 years. That doesn't seem like that long ago.
Yeah, by the way, Jay Marie, I think Jay Marie, our longtime listener, was right about Lori Lightfoot. I just have to say that. I hate admitting I'm wrong.
There you go. So she said she doesn't agree with you on the Scottie Pippen thing, by the way, she just said. But, you guys agree on what Ben was saying there, so that's good.
Yeah, no, I have to say that she was right. Jay Marie was right. I always think of Jay Marie chastising me for having voted for Lori Lightfoot. Voted for her twice, ladies and gentlemen. I voted for her twice. Go ahead, Dee.
Well, there's a good chance, because it's happened before, that you may come around on the Scottie Pippen thing and may end up agreeing with Jay Marie in the long run anyway. Who knows?
Doubt that. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, my. Sorry, wrong button there. All right, first up.
Your reaction to criticism, Tribune editorial used the term irascible. How much of this do you think might have to do with the fact that you're a woman, and specifically a black woman?
About 99% of it.
How about the mayor's interview on WTTW this week? She was on Chicago Tonight, and no, she wasn't with Rahm Emanuel's favorite, but not really favorite at all, Paris Schutz. She was talking with the ever-so-dapper Phil Ponce. And the audio I am about to play mainly stems from what went down at last week's city council meeting, a.k.a. the Aldermania 2021 showdown between Mayor Lightfoot and 20th Ward Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor. Ben, for those who may have not got the details on all of this, walk us through what happened here last week when Jeanette Taylor and Mayor Lightfoot literally went face-to-face.
All right, well, most of our listeners know this very well because by chance Jeanette Taylor came on the show the Thursday, the day afterwards, and we did a long interview about it, but I'll condense it to this. It was at last Wednesday's city council meeting, and the matter of approving the mayor's choice for corporation council came up, and Raylo, who was on the show last week as well, Raymond Lopez, and Jeanette Taylor tag teamed to pull a procedural stall called Defer and Publish, where they moved the matter to the next meeting. They didn't. Then Jeanette Taylor said she wanted to send a message to Lori Lightfoot that she did not approve of the way Lori Lightfoot or her corporation counsel have been handling the Anjanette Young case, the case of the West Side woman whose home was raided by police in 2019 and was handcuffed naked. You all know the story. We've had Anjanette Young on this show as well. And so she was sending a message of protest by deferring and publishing. Lori Lightfoot got so upset by that she called a recess to the meeting. She pointed at Jeanette Taylor, as is to say, meet me in the back, left the podium, walked across the council floor, and got into Jeanette Taylor's face. And Jeanette Taylor didn't appreciate it at all. And that sort of sums it all up, D.
All right.
In a nutshell. Well,
I have the rest of the audio for Mayor Lightfoot on WTTW. Jeanette Taylor has responded to this audio, by the way. But first, let's hear the mayor this week on Chicago Tonight. Ben, I actually have the audio here. I got to pull it up. I need you to stall if you could, please. Ben, what do you got going on this weekend? You going to the movie theater again by any chance?
Maybe going to see a movie.
Really? What movie are you thinking about seeing?
I'm thinking, this is kind of embarrassing. I'm thinking of seeing Fast and Furious 9.
Oh, okay. I can see why it'd be a little... John Cena's in it. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, you know, there's like a Helen Mirren's, and it's everybody. I'm surprised you're not in it. I mean, they're really like.
Well, stick around after the credits. You may be surprised. All right, that's enough stalling. Here's the rest of Mayor Lightfoot on WTTW.
Expand on that.
Well, I mean, look at my predecessors. Did people say that Rich Daley held tea sessions with people that he didn't disagree on? Rahm Emanuel was a polite guy who was a uniter? No. Women and people of color are always held to a different standard. I understand that. I've known that my whole life. And the Tribune or whoever can write what they want. What I'm doing is fighting for the residents of the city. I'm an advocate. I'm going to continue fighting. Obviously, we need to be focused on uniting people as much as we can. But I was elected and ran on disrupting the status quo.
I'm sorry, disrupting the status quo as she upholds TIF deals for some of the richest developers in the city of Chicago to subsidize the gentrification of one of the fastest gentrifying neighbors of this city of Chicago. But she's upsetting the status quo. Anyway, Dee, I cut you off. What was Jeanette Taylor's response?
But wait, there's more from Lori.
And when you disrupt the status quo, you are going to make people uncomfortable. You are going to have people criticize you. But I know where my North Star is. I know the things that we need to be working on. Can I do things differently and better? Of course. Life is a lifelong learning experience, I hope, for me and for others. But I absolutely understand that the critics, some of them who are out there, are criticizing me because they don't like to see a woman assume power and forge ahead on an agenda that is about disrupting the status quo. And look, I also say with the Tribune, consider the source. This criticism comes just about a month or so after I made a pointed decision at my 2-year anniversary that I was only going to give interviews for that 2-year anniversary to journalists of color. And it was like the sky was falling on the part of some of the folks that are embodiments of the status quo, including some of the media folks. But look around. Look at that Tribune editorial board. Look at the editorial boards of most of the big media companies here in the city. They do not reflect our diversity. And many of the people on those boards don't even live in Chicago. So I'm sorry if I offend people by fighting for what people elected me to do, which is disrupt the machine, disrupt the status quo, and make city government more responsive to the residents.
So that was that. Now to JT, Jeanette Taylor. This comes from Fox 32 Chicago. Yes, home of Mike Flannery. Ben, can we hear that Flannery impression?
Willie, I could see the reparations in Louisiana, but Chicago's been great to black people.
The closest that we'll ever have to him coming back again is that right there, Ben's impression. Jeanette Taylor called Lori's comments a cop-out, saying, quote, "The same way that I challenged her, I've challenged Mayor Rahm, I've challenged Mayor Daley, and I was a community organizer then." That's not true. That's the cop-out. At the end of the day, it's her responsibility and duty as our coworker to pull us together and have us figure out plans that work for our community. She then commented on her dust-up with the mayor last week, saying, quote, "Doesn't seem to be any compromise with her. It's her way or the highway, and that's not going to work for the citizens of the city. The thought that she would walk from her seat to meet me at the gallery, stick her finger in my face and scream at me, that's not becoming of an elected official. That's not. I would never in a million years treat her that way."
A lot to unpack here, and unpack it I will after I take this drink of water. Hold on, Dee. Delicious drink of water, because there is a lot. So let me start by saying what I agree with Lori Lightfoot on. And Madam Mayor, I think you raise a very good point. I agree. I agree with Lori Lightfoot, part of the things she said there. Abusive behavior by mayors is not only tolerated in the city of Chicago, but it's rewarded. The average Chicago voter apparently thinks that one of the keys to being an effective mayor is to be a bully. That's why we keep electing them. Mayor Daley, a bully, got elected, 5 times in a row by people in the city of Chicago? And there was ample evidence of his bullying. Get all red in the face and yell at people, was nasty to reporters, threatened my good friend Mick Dumke once, said he's going to take a musket and stick it up his butt and shoot him. But he was a bully. And Chicagoans' attitude was, like a bully. You got to be tough, Ben. The mayor of the city of Chicago. And the editorial boards, Mayor Lori Lightfoot is right. They never criticize. I don't remember them criticizing Mayor Daley's temperament. You're absolutely right, Madam Mayor. And then we got Rahm. Rahm's whole reputation was that he was a total schmuck, a jerk, an ass. That was his reputation. That goes back to the early 80s. And here's the average Chicago contemplating Rahm as mayor. Well, Ben, you got to be really tough and mean and nasty to be mayor of the city of Chicago. So Rahm became mayor of the city of Chicago and was behind the scenes abusive and nasty and mean to pretty much everyone he met. He, of course, was the one who told Karen Lewis, fuck you, Lewis. We all know he said it. We all know how abusive was, how nasty was. And Mayor Lori Lightfoot, you are correct. I do not recall Chicago Tribune ever complaining. In fact, they were cheering him on when he badmouthed Karen Lewis because they hated the Chicago Teachers Union. They didn't want any. You talk about the status quo being preserved, Mayor Lightfoot. They did not want to see the Chicago Teachers Union have any kind of influence in the city of Chicago. Why? Good question, Mayor Lightfoot. The reason they didn't want the Chicago Teachers Union having any influence in the city of Chicago is because they wanted to guarantee that most of the money was spent for downtown development and that we wouldn't, quote unquote, waste money on public schools. So yes, Mayor Rahm, thin skin, you got a quick temper, and you bully people who are below you on the totem pole, and you think you can get away with it, and they criticize you. And yeah, you're right to say, what the hell? I thought this was a strength in the city of Chicago. I thought being mean and nasty and bossy and closing down the lakefront. Remember that day? Taking your car. That's what gets you ahead. I thought it was only that hippie writer for the Chicago Reporter who cared about stuff like that, not the editorial board of Chicago Tribune. You applauded that. So you're absolutely correct, Mayor Lightfoot. However, just because Mayor Rahm was a jerk, and just because Mayor Daley was a jerk does not mean you should be a jerk. It should not be, well, the white man gets to be a jerk, so now I'm going to be a jerk. No, it's jerky behavior. You crossed the line with Jeanette Taylor. Jeanette Taylor did a legitimate parliamentary maneuver. She used the tools to her advantage that she had to send a message to you about how you and your corporation counsel were treating Anjanette Young. That was a legitimate tool that was at her disposal. You used it the week before with DuSable Drive. When you use it for DuSable Drive, did Sophia King march up to the podium and get in your face and wag her finger? When you called on Brian Hopkins overlooking Sophia King and stalled that so that you could hold off on a vote on DuSable Drive because you knew you were going to lose that vote? Did David Moore, the alderman of the 17th Ward who was sponsoring it, come up to the podium and lecture you? Or did they put their fingers up? Come here. Make that little finger sign that people do to get you to come on the floor in the election? No. Because in politics, parliamentary moves in the city council are used from time to time to send messages, to needle people, to annoy people, or just to buy time. So you do it. Why can't they do it? Why are somehow or other your needs more important than their needs? And that's that mentality. And it's not has to do anything with the fact that Rahm is a white man or Daley's a white man and Lori Lightfoot's a black woman. It's the mentality of people in the city of Chicago that their mayor is the boss and their mayor is never wrong. And their mayor should be able to exercise as much power as he or she has because that's what we want with a mayor. I think that's wrong if it's Daley, Rahm, or Lightfoot. So I think that Mayor Lori Lightfoot was absolutely correct when she pointed out that there was a double standard D with the way and she's absolutely right to go consider the source when it comes to Chicago Tribune editorials, because that editorial board, man, it's so off the chains, off the chart. So I'm with you, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, although I don't recall you complaining about the Chicago Tribune editorial board when they endorsed you, not once, but twice. Or maybe they endorsed Bill Daley the first time around. I don't know. Who can remember? But they definitely endorsed you over Tony Preckwinkle. I didn't hear you complaining about consider the source then. Well, consider the source. They endorsed me. Of course they're going to endorse the corporate candidate. I don't recall that. You were loving the Chicago Tribune editorial board back then. At least I'm consistent, D. I can't stand their editorials.
All right.
So she has a point, but she owes Jeanette Taylor an apology. And talking about how horrific those editorials are, it's just ducking and dodging and weaving and bobbing, D. It's it just avoiding what we all know. She owes Jeanette Taylor an apology. There.
All right.
I said it.
Way to go. Excellent job. Let's see here. Oh, a lot of people are requesting, I guess, a lot of editorial board talk going on today. People are requesting Mike Girardi editorial board. We will play that after. Oh, what a week it was. More Lightfoot news, and it's now time for everyone's favorite Chicago political soap opera. It's episode 569 of A Mayor and Her Alderman.
A mayor and her alderman.
If you want to talk about a separate issue, there will be a time and a place for that, but you are out of order, sir.
You're out of order, sir. Quite a few aldermen in today's episode. Apparently, 19 aldermen invoked a rarely used provision of state law to call a special meeting of the Chicago City Council for today, Friday, at 11 a.m. in an effort to pressure Mayor Lori Lightfoot and Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown to step up efforts and reduce violent crime. It is the second time this year that alder people have called an emergency meeting of the City Council over Lightfoot's objections. It will be held virtually. I've been looking for updates here on this meeting, yet to receive them. If I get any before we end the show, I'll give those updates. But the mayor has a sneaky suspicion as to who is behind this special meeting. According to Lightfoot, it's all Ed Burke. Yes, the greasy alderman whose offices were raided by the FBI a couple of years back. And yes, also the guy who did the greasiest of greasy moves and shook down a Burger King in his ward for coupons? No, for straight up cash. The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times and Fran the Woman Spielman. Mayor Lightfoot on Thursday accused her political nemesis, indicted Alderman Edward Burke of the 14th Ward, of being the heavy hand behind a call for Friday's special city council meeting on violent crime. Lightfoot said both she and Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown will be there, even though she firmly believes Burke and his minions orchestrated the meeting to stir the pot and create chaos. Here's the quote from the mayor. Quote, "Do I think this is about public safety? No, I don't. Are we going to be there to answer questions so residents are assured? Absolutely, we will. But let's face the facts here. This is political shenanigans, and you can figure out who's behind it." Oh, we do have more quotes to share with you. And here's where the mayor may have outed herself as a binhead in this in the rest of her quote here. Because in Benny J. Show fashion, she gave Ed Burke a catchy nickname. Here's the quote from the mayor. Quote, "Burger King Ed is still alive and well, and he is messing around and trying to create chaos. He can't do it in a way that makes him public, but he's doing it through puppets and trying to orchestrate chaos. We've seen this picture show in 83, 84, 85, 86, but guess what? Having seen that nonsense, it's not happening again. Ben, do you agree with them, with the mayor here, or in your opinion, are we just back in cop-out land?
We are totally in cop-out land, but let me say this. Brilliant move, Mayor Lori Lightfoot. I got to give her credit again. So she thought, we have a crisis with crime in Chicago. Very serious crisis. People getting shot every day. The carnage. It's just like this horror show in Chicago where every Tuesday it is, all the shootings are compiled, and the papers just feature stories about the carnage, and the city seems incapable of dealing with it. And the problems are overwhelming. It's been going on forever. So I'm not blaming Lori Lightfoot, but I'm just saying this is a reality of life in the city of Chicago. And for whatever reason, the Chicago City Council wants attention drawn to it, particularly as we head into the 4th of July weekend. And I don't see anything wrong with having a special meeting to discuss the shootings and the violence in the city of Chicago. I don't know why we haven't had it already. Like Troy LaRaviere was talking about this, do you remember? Like, what is the strategy that the police are following? Is there a strategy? You know, I mean, this goes before Lori Lightfoot. Mayor Rahm promised to hire a whole bunch of police when he took office. Then he didn't hire them. And then what he dealt with the shortage of police in the city by increasing overtime. Now we've had a movement subsequent to the Laquan McDonald video being buried by Mayor Rahm to defund police. There's a chorus of people on the left who say we should take money that we spend on police and move it to social services. So there's just this wide-ranging issue here of how to deal with crime. Should we hire more police? Should we cut police? How do we have distribute the police that we have? What's the strategy that they're following? I'm not certain that we've ever had any discussion about it. We certainly, as I recall, have not had a moment at the city council where David Brown, the police chief, is questioned by aldermen. And yes, aldermen have their political reasons for it. I'm sure some of them can't stand Lori Lightfoot and they want to use it against Lori Lightfoot, but they also have to go back to their communities and their constituents who are wondering about violence in their street. Raymond Lopez in the 15th Ward, high crime area, a lot of shootings in this area. He has to answer to his constituents. Sue Sadlowski Garza in the 10th Ward. She was on the show yesterday. Same thing. She has to answer to her constituents, David Moore, et cetera, and so forth. Every alderman has to go back to his constituents or her constituents and address the real, sincere complaints and fears that they have about crime. So it's absolutely legitimate that the alderman should have a hearing in which the police chief is responsible to come out and try to assure the public that they know what they're doing. And to dismiss it as politics is to just cavalierly dismiss one of the most pressing and important issues in the city of the day. So I disagree with her notion that there should be no meeting on this. But the brilliance is to personify it as a cause led by Ed Burke, who's probably the most widely despised alderman in the city of Chicago, which is beyond irony, as Dennis and I love to point out. He was the most powerful alderman for years and years and years. Speaking of utter hypocrisy, Mayor Daley and Mayor Rahm made Burke the finance chair. And like up until the month that he was finally indicted, his fundraisers were packed with the powerful people in the city of Chicago who were still kissing his ring. So yes, there is hypocrisy that he had a position of power, but I think it's unfair, as clever as it is, to assume that he's the puppeteer, like Ray Lopez and Anthony Beale and Carlos Ramirez Rosa and Byron Cicelo Lopez or any of the aldermen just do what he says. But it's effective, D. It's very funny. Burger King Ed, and he deserves it. And yes, she listens to the Ben Joravsky Show because Dennis is always, whenever he refers to Ed Burke, he always does the Burger King thing. So it was very effective, very clever. Got to give her credit. She's quick on her feet. I never said she wasn't. In fact, she won me over with one meeting at the Hideout.
Yes, she did.
She won me over. I voted for her. Oh my God. I remember telling Mick Dumke, my partner, she's great. She answered everything. And it's so funny because I'm old and Mick's young, but he's like the jaded guy. And he took out his imaginary cigarette. He doesn't really smoke a cigarette. He goes, Ben, you got to stop believing some politician tells you. And then he flicked the cigarette away. And I go, but Mick, if she told me that she was for an elected school board, she must be for it. Because why would she tell me? And he was like, kid, you got a lot to learn. Yeah, he was right. He's younger than me. But out of the mouth of babes comes much wisdom, Dennis, much wisdom indeed.
Alderman Ed Burke could not be reached for comment.
That is correct.
You know why, D?
Why is that?
He was enjoying lunch at a Burger King. Oh, I love the Whopper.
Oh, my God.
By the way, Ed, there's no truth to the rumor, but my sources tell me Ed Burke loves a new chicken sandwich at Burger King. Did you know
Oh,
that,
the King?
What? Well, you know what? Next time we have Miles Konflassen on the show, we have to address the all-important burning question, and that is this. Is the new chicken sandwich at Burger King better or worse than the original from Popeyes?
I mean, we can settle that right now. Not at all. That Popeye's chicken sandwich is so good. The chicken,
time out.
meh, it's okay.
Have you already had the chicken sandwich at Burger King?
You better believe it.
Okay, well, we established we don't even have to go to Miles. If you recall, ladies and gentlemen, Miles Kempf Lassen, the pride and joy of Whitney Young High School, outstanding journalist for In These Times, came on the show about a year ago, wasn't it, D?
Yeah.
And was singing the praise of the chicken sandwich at
Popeyes. Damn, it's good.
Yeah. Still haven't had it, D.
Oh,
Still haven't had it.
Missing out. The KFC has one. Nah. Burger King. Maybe it's like the second best one, but all right.
Which one
I
costs
digress.
more?
I have no clue.
I'm just curious.
All right, and finally, Carrie Austin, sub pumps. Really? Alderman Carrie Austin of the 34th Ward and her chief of staff were indicted Thursday on charges of conspiring to take bribes from construction contractors seeking city assistance for a development project. According to the feds, a few days after the 4th of July, 2017, Alderwoman Carrie Austin decided to accept a developer's offer for 2 brand new inexpensive sub pumps for her home. They say she accepted an offer the next day for the developer to have a family member buy and install a dehumidifier there. That developer oversaw a $50 million 91-unit development in Austin's ward under a deal with the city of Chicago that made the developer's company eligible for $10.5 million in tax increment financing and other funding. Austin is now the 3rd active alderman facing federal criminal charges. Aldermans Patrick Daley Thompson and the aforementioned Ed Burke face charges in separate cases.
Wow. The Sun-Times headline on this one was pretty good, D. I don't know if you saw it. Cash in carry? Cash in carry? With the question.
Yeah, that's good.
And Alderman Austin, her name is Carrie Austin. So cash and carry. You know, it's kind of bad when I feel compelled to explain the headlines. You know, I think our listeners understand it. Alderman Austin and her chief of staff charged with bribery, a new federal indictment. D, I don't know. And then you turn the page, the pullout says it all. Like the things that she was getting, like she was willing to trade her entire reputation, her entire career, everything that she had worked so hard to gain for what? Where is it? Doesn't say, like a sump pump. You had a field day with that one when I told you about the sump pump, D. You know what I'm saying? Because you were saying your father should have been a Chicago City alderman.
Yeah, my dad would be a great alderman if that's what they do. Trade shit for sub pumps. Oh, man.
Yeah, here we go. Alderman in hot water over alleged home improvements. Feds say kitchen cabinets, sump pumps served as kickbacks. A new indictment charging Alderman Carrie Austin with bribery. Really, politically speaking, Alderman Carrie Austin and I do not see eye to eye on anything. She's a loyalist to whatever powerful mayor is in charge, Daley, Rahm, and then Lori Lightfoot. So we don't see we don't see eye to eye politically. But she done very well as an alderman. A lot of people in her family got jobs with the city. She had a long-standing career. She inherited the office from her husband, was the alderman. And why would anybody just trade it in for? I just don't get it, D. Just throw it all away for something as ridiculously insignificant as some pumps and kitchen cabinets. So it's allegation. That's very important to say that. It's an allegation. We must say that. But here's the part that caused my eyebrows to raise. And I was talking about it with some of my friends of the political persuasion. It was about 2 years ago, D. Let's think about this, that we were talking about the original raid, the FBI raid was, I believe, July of 2019. Or June of 2019. It was 2 years ago. I remember you and I were in the old studio at the Sun-Times, our beloved studio that they had for us at the Bright One before the pandemic, talking about it. And Danny Mialopoulos came on the show. He'll be coming on next week as well to talk about it. The WBEZ reporter has been written so much about the Austins. And I'm like, it took 2 years from that raid to formalize an indictment. And most of my friends of the political persuasion, who are far more knowledgeable about Chicago politics than I am, if such a thing is possible, and are definitely more cynical and jaded than I am, were saying that the Fed spent the last 2 years, trying to squeeze Carrie Austin and getting her to testify against somebody else. That's what the cynical, longtime observers of Chicago politics think. That's why they think the Feds took 2 years. Who would do? Oh, if I were a reporter on TV, 2 years. And to finally indict her. But that is a long time to keep someone squirming. You know what I mean? Like, she knew they were coming after her, right? They raided her house. They carried out boxes of stuff. 2 years she had to sit under that. So I wonder what the heck was going on. Were they squeezing her? You know, the Feds don't play, D. Trump is finding that out in New York. They just indicted his chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg. Monroe was popping champagne corks over that one. He got indicted, and obviously they're trying to squeeze him to testify against Trump. That's obvious. So then I said to my really knowledgeable political friends who are more jaded and cynical than I am, well, who were they trying to get Carrie Austin to testify against? You know? I mean, that's your theory. You know what they told me? They go Ed Burke. I'm like, Ed Burke, everybody's testing. You got Solis wearing a wire again? I don't know. I don't think it was Ed Burke. I don't know. Maybe it's all the cutbacks in the federal in the federal government under Trump. And that's why it took 2 years. But I don't you think that's a long time, D, for someone to have that like scary cloud hanging over their head? 2 years. That's like a form of torture in and of itself.
It's all Ed Burke, though. All of it. Everyone else, an angel. Just this Burke, I tell you. What a rascal.
Yeah, everything is Ed Burke's fault. Listen, Ed Burke. Where was all this opposition to Ed Burke when he was totally in control? Where was it in 1984? By the way, Lori Lightfoot, the recitation she did for Phil Ponce, she was talking about 83, 84, 85, 86. Those are council war years. Youngsters Council War, when Harold Washington was mayor of the city of Chicago, and Ed Burke, and a guy named Rodoliak organized all the white aldermen in the city, not all the white aldermen, most of the white aldermen in the city council, to oppose Harold Washington, with this idea being that if they brought the sabotage his administration, even if people had a short-term loss, like they didn't get garbage collection or something, it would help the city in the long term because the public would vote him out of office. Well, it didn't quite work out that way. He died. He was reelected, then he died. And then 2 years later, they got what they wanted. They brought in Richie Daley. He ruled for 25 years. Not 25 years, 20-odd years. So ultimately, Ed Burke got what he wanted. And he had been kicked out as finance chair by Harold Washington. And Richie Daley said, come right back, my friend. Come right back. We're going to put you in charge of all the contracts and all the TIF deals in the city of Chicago. And Mayor Rahm continued it. So I'll say one more time. Mayor Lori Lightfoot has an excellent point when she makes clear that the city of Chicago tolerated all kinds of nonsense before she was elected mayor. Now everybody hates Ed Burke. Tribune hates Ed Burke. I had hatred from the Chicago Tribune's editorial board in the 90s, in the O's, when Ed Burke was pushing through the city council the parking meter deal on behalf of Mayor Daley. I didn't see that outrage. They loved Ed Burke. No, they don't like Ed Burke. So you know what, D? When Mayor Lori Lightfoot has a point, she has a point. Got to give her credit for it.
So there you are, guys. That's the week that was in Chicago and or Illinois. Remember, you can download previous Ben Joravsky shows, Benny J bonus interviews, and so much more. You got to check out that interview we had with Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor if you haven't yet. ChicagoReader.com/Joravsky or wherever else you download podcasts. You can always send us an email, BennyJShow@gmail.com, BENNY, the letter J, show @gmail.com. We would always love to hear from you. Leave your name and where you're from. It's preferred if you could. That'd be great. Also, you can call you can reach us on social media, by the way, at Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can call the Ben Joravsky Show. It's true. We have a phone number. We haven't got a call in a while, but it'd be great if you called us up. 708-658-4788. That number again is 708-658-4788. We would love to hear from you. Ben, any other stories that we missed here maybe before we put a button on the week that was?
I can't think of any, but I do want to give a shout out to the weekend shows that we're going to drop. And as soon as Lori Lightfoot went on TV to criticize the Tribune, I immediately reached out to Delmarie Cobb, who's been around Chicago politics as long as I have, and she's got a lot to say about Lori Lightfoot, and I think you're all going to enjoy that very much. Delmarie Cobb, man, she speaks from her heart. And, of course, Rummana Hussain, Rummana Rundown. We just finished that interview, and that'll drop on Sunday. So good weekend shows coming up before the 4th of July weekend. We will be back on Tuesday, so the 4th will not interrupt our scheduled plans, but Rummana Hussain and Delmarie Cobb this weekend.
And speaking of Tuesday, what's going to be happening on Tuesday?
Oh, thank you for saying that. First Tuesday returns, live show, an actual live show at the Hideout will be, man, that's amazing. I heard it's sold out. I would promote the show and say buy tickets, but it's all sold out. Maya Dugmasa for myself, State Senator Rob Martwick, and Delia Ramirez, State Representative Delia Ramirez, and Rod Martin will be talking about the elected school board issue. It's sold out. But if I know the Ben Joravsky Show, I got a feeling. A feeling deep inside. Whoa, yeah. I got a feeling, Dennis, that we'll be recording it and dropping it on our podcast.
Oh, hell yeah.
So anyway, it should be a great time. I'm so happy we're going to be back at the Hideout. And Dennis will be there buying drinks for everyone. So,
that's not true at all, actually.
So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Excellent. Have a great weekend, everybody.
All right. I want to thank the man, the myth, the legend, the pride and joy of Alton, Illinois, without whom the show would be possible. And as Lori Lightfoot, Jeanette Taylor, and Delmarie Cobb will tell you back home in Alton, they call him Dr. Doobie. Give yourself a raise. Take it out of petty cash. Have a great weekend, everybody.
You have to be a good neighbor. You have to be a good neighbor. Otherwise, I'm going to be up your butt every day.
Try not to rock the Research Institute. This is Illinois State climatologist Trent Ford. We had a wild week to what was otherwise a mild June. Average temperatures this past week ranged from the low 70s in northern Illinois to the low 80s in southern Illinois, between 1 and 6 degrees above average. Official June numbers will be released next week, but it is likely the month was in the top 30 warmest and wettest on record statewide. As a large ridge and resultant immense heat built up over the Pacific Northwest, we were the benefactors of the corresponding trough and stationary boundary this week. The result was persistent heavy rain stretching from the St. Louis metro east area to Chicagoland. 7-day totals range from just under an inch in far northwest and southeast Illinois to over 10 inches in parts of central Illinois. Southern McLean County, including parts of Bloomington, saw over 10 inches in just 3 days last weekend, causing serious flood damage to residential and commercial properties, standing water in fields, and the temporary shutdown of Interstates 55 and 74 in the area. Despite the flooding damage, the rain was much needed across the state and greatly improved soil moisture and crop conditions, especially in the drought-stricken northeast corner of the state. The rains also turned what was looking to be a top 10 driest June into a wetter-than-normal month statewide. Unfortunately, the heaviest rains largely missed in northwest Illinois, and drought conditions continue to deteriorate from Winnebago to Joe Daviess counties. Last month was the 8th driest June on record in Freeport and the driest since 2012. Looking ahead, the short-term forecast calls for cooler, dry weather.